Once, 1/5 of the entire human race was administrated from this location. This is Shimla. Welcome to a misty and mysterious Shimla. Now you may be thinking, why on earth has he gone to Shimla? Well, the interesting thing about Shimla is there's a lot of history here. There's British architecture, there's Indian infusion. This neo-Gothic church behind me, that was designed by the British and built by the Indians. And we're going to explore Shimla. We're on the ridgeline at the minute, which used to be a promenade down the way. And from here, you can actually imagine what time was like back in the 19th century when the English decided to move up from Delhi and make this place their home. Why did the British do it? Because it was just too hot in Delhi, and coming up into the mountains, it's a lot cooler. You can see the mist hanging in the air already. We're still in June, going into July. It's about 20 degrees. It's a lot nicer climate to work from. So the British basically up sticks to here and governed from this area. Did that every 6 months. In this episode, we're going to take a wander through the streets of Shimla, starting at our church, working our way down to the Gaiety Theater, before hitting the town hall, and then finally looking at Mole Road itself. So this is the ridge. This is the main promenade. You can see the library here and the church beyond. You can see a podium up here. So if there are performances in the square, you can stand up and get a good view. There was actually boxing on here on Sunday, and the place was packed, and people were just watching the boxing, enjoying themselves. It was a really nice feel. It's almost like a summer festival feel. The other thing you'll find up here are various statues of important people, but there's the founder of Himachal here, 1906 to 1981. Let's go and have a look at the church, as this was the second church ever built in India. This building in front of us is the library. You can really see the combination of the Gothic and the Tudor elements there. And finally beyond we have the church. Built between 1844 and 1857, it was designed for the Anglican elite. A place where English officers and their families could worship far from the plains of Delhi below. The church's stained glass windows, steep spires and clock tower weren't just for show. They were a statement to say the British are here and they intended to stay. Now I don't know, but I'm guessing here that used to be a stone building. And I have seen images and sketches that suggest it could be, but I don't have evidence of that. So if you know more about this church than me and know that it did used to be a stone building, please comment below, because I'd love to know if it was rendered or at what point it was rendered, if it was always rendered, or if that is a new addition. You can see it's been painted fairly recently. A little bit further along the promenade, you will find the Gaiety Theater. This is the Gaiety Theater. This would have once been the epicenter and social hub for the British to come, relax, share stories, watch stories. It's a real neo-Gothic Revival building. Apparently it used to be 5 stories tall. It's still 4. You can see the dormers at the top. But due to structural instability, they had to take a story down and then carefully refurbish and rebuild the rest of the structure. I think it's pretty beautiful. What do you think? It was opened in 1887 and part of a wider civic complex designed by Henry Irwin. Today the theatre is still used, but by Indian theatre groups who have reclaimed the space as their own, a space that was once just meant for the privileged few. Just want to show you something really cool, because I really like this as a piece of urban design. That is a little amphitheatre here that has been stuck onto the backside of the main theatre. Why is this nice? Because if you're on the promenade on a Sunday, having a lazy Sunday to yourself, you can quite literally see a play going on, think, oh, I might drop in on that, and it just juts out onto the promenade. So it just invites you in just enough to create that sense of curiosity of, oh, what's going on over there? Next door to the theatre, you will find the town hall, built and complete in 1910. This was where all the administration happened within Shimla. So you've got slate roofs, timber windows, you've even got chimneys here. Chimney, 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 chimney on the end. Tudor detailing in the middle, with a bit of fancy woodwork going on. You can see this was established in 1908. So it was designed by the British, but actually built by the Indians. It was effectively the administrative nerve centre of Shimla. Finally, we're going to take a look at Mole Road, and this is where you will find all the modern shops. The entry point, where you cannot go any further with a car because of over-tourism and overcrowding. It makes perfect sense to do it. It's a good thing to do, good initiative. And it's a really bustling, busy place. Flanked either side by mock Tudor buildings, the British would have had little tea shops lining the streets. So this is Mole Street, and you can see some of the older buildings still reminiscent here. They would have been much more quaint back in the day. They have got the modernised signage in front of them now, and you can kind of tell it's still very British architecture. You could almost just imagine people back in the day walking down here, doing a bit of shopping, grabbing what they needed to do, talking about whatever they're talking about. Again, these buildings are now used for things like cafes and eateries as well as shops. But again, on this one with black windows here, you can just see the cute quaintness that is very reminiscent of an English village. Today, this too has been taken back by the locals and infused into that Indian culture. You can find students, families, and even honeymooners, as well as people like me, backpacking, tourists and architectural enthusiasts. But the truth is, Shimla comes alive at night. For me, it is very much a night city. When night falls, Shimla becomes a colourful, bustling, alive place. Check it out. So that's it for this episode, but what about where the real big decisions were made? What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Viceregal Lodge, an incredibly important building in the history of India, perhaps one of the most important buildings in India's history, and we're going to visit that next time. So join me then at Backpackers Blueprint. See you there.